Hi, Nicholas Pegues reporting for CNN Our Report and Action News 5 Facebook. And I'm sitting here with Commissioner Heidi Schaefer, who is a representative from my district in East Memphis and Germantown. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And today I would like to thank Commissioner Schaefer for her commitment to Memphis youth and to the youth of Shelby County. And in my eyesight, Commissioner Schaefer is like a President Reagan in theory, because President Reagan was the president who made Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Day a national holiday. And we must remember Memphis by being its historic, by this being the place of the National Historic Civil Rights Museum. That Commissioner Schaefer is a true testament of defending the rights of my generation and the children of Memphis. And we must learn the importance of history and preserving our democracy. And so I'm here with Commissioner Heidi Schaefer, and I want to ask you a few questions, Commissioner Schaefer. And first I'm going to ask you, part of the CNN boot camp interview process, my first question is, what made you support me as a candidate for Tennessee House District 98 in 2010?
Well, Nicholas, I was really impressed with your youth and your eloquence when you first came up, and just the sheer nerve it took to get up with folks who had been around for a long time with huge, long resumes. And that's what I love about our youth, is that they know that they can attack things, get them done, and they bring fresh, new ideas to processes that are sometimes pretty stale and old. I have to say, after a few hours of interviews, hearing you interview with a totally different perspective was like a breath of fresh air.
Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer. And I have one other question, part of the CNN boot camp interview. As a member of the Shelby County Commission, do you think that Memphis and Shelby County is protecting the rights of children under the Charter of UNICEF, or also known as United Nations Children's Fund?
You know, I would have to look in and find a little bit more about that to find out exactly what the wording on it is. I know that the program itself has gotten good press, but you know, Nicholas, with all these things, the devil is in the details. So I would want to read it over carefully. That's one of the things that I think I've am making a little bit of a reputation for myself for, is I actually read the documents and the legislation that comes before me so that I'm as informed as I can before voting. And if you're involved with it, I'd love to have you give me your take on it so that I can know more about it.
Absolutely. And I thank you, Commissioner Schaefer, for your commitment to the children of Shelby County. And this concludes the interview of CNN Our Report Boot Camp. Thank you. Nicholas Pegues reporting with CNN Our Report, here with Commissioner Heidi Schaefer, who is the Commissioner of East Memphis and Germantown. And she was the representative who represented my generation well as a Shelby County Commissioner. And I'm going to ask her a few questions. And my first question is, and this is going to be broadcast on Nominating Through a Breakthrough Women on CNN Our Report. Can you tell me your history as a political icon, and when did you start in the political process, and how do you feel as a woman in politics?
Okay, well, let me break that down. Thank you for calling me an icon. I think that's great. That's very flattering. I'm really a very normal wife, mom, employee, like almost every other woman across America. Women fit into one of those categories. And I got involved with the process because we were going to be taxed on something that we hadn't had a voice on, and I believe in taxation with representation, and I believe in fully using the benefits that are there and the powers that we have to make sure that the legislators listen to our voices. So I ran a petition drive, and we did have an influence on the process. And although I've always been politically active, I worked for many campaigns, and it was part of the way I was raised, Nicholas, is we believe that you need to, you need to take part and you need to be involved, right, and not let other people determine your destiny. And so I got involved in a really serious way when I was doing the petition drive, and from there it's kind of like you can't get out. Once you're involved in politics, then there's always something else to be doing. As a woman in politics, I will tell you, as a woman in business, I've never really felt any kind of discrimination or even really a glass ceiling. I've always risen very quickly wherever I went, and I've always seen doors open. But I have noticed since I've been in politics that there is almost a glass ceiling in politics. And I've felt a little more aware of the fact that there are still some very old attitudes among some folks who are in certain circles of influence in politics. So I'm having a lot of fun trying to knock those down. Even though I am 5 feet tall, I want to make sure that I can get their attention. And, you know, it's just one of the things that women have to deal with. And I think that in my generation, and certainly in yours, Nicholas, it will be a thing of the past.
Absolutely. My second question is, and this is regarding the school system. I heard that you were a school teacher in the past. Can you tell me how long you were a school teacher and what schools did you teach at?
I taught for 4 years. I taught kindergarten at a Lutheran school here in town, Christ the King Lutheran, and honestly, it was the best job that I've ever had in my whole life. It was really wonderful. When you teach for a private school, though, especially Christian school, it's a mission, and so your pay is almost like a hobby. You don't get paid a lot, and so I had to go out and get other jobs in order to just support myself. But I'm so glad I did it. I've never regretted it, and teaching is really my first love.
Great. This is regarding the school system here in Memphis. When I was a candidate for state representative in Tennessee House District 98, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation extended a letter to me by email and regarding my service to humanity and helping the children here in Memphis. What is going to happen to the money donated by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to Memphis City Schools?
Well, that is such a good question, and I've been assured that that money will still stay in place, but it's my job as an elected representative to make sure and not just rely on assurances. So that's one of my first orders of business. As we're starting to interview this new school board, I want to make sure we have people on there who are going to have good oversight on these kind of things, and I will be in regular contact with them, both personally and through letters, to make sure that those kind of things don't slip through the cracks.
Okay, great. How do you see me as a 25-year-old Shelby County Unified School Board applicant?
Well, I think it's wonderful that you're applying. We have many, many applicants. We've got folks who are granddads and grandmothers, and we've got, I believe you're the youngest one that we have.
Oh, wow.
And I think it's terrific because you have just been through the school process more recently than the rest of us. And I believe in a diversity of the experience. I think that in order to make a good decision, what I call a 360 decision, you need to have input from folks all over the spectrum. And you may not be able to please everybody, but at least you're getting input from every direction so that you can make the best decision for the most amount of people. I think, Nicholas, what you bring to the table is, you know, some experiences that the other folks on the board wouldn't have.
Okay. I'm a graduate of Cordova High School in 2004, and I want to give back to the alumni. How can I be recognized by the Shelby County Commission as a notable alumni, and how can the commission partner with Cordova High School?
Well, I would love to personally, as a commissioner, partner with Cordova High School because it's in my district and I represent them. So if you will help make the introductions, I'll pave the way on that. But as far as being recognized, I would be happy to write a resolution for you and have you recognized in front of the county commission. And that's something that we could also ask the folks from Cordova High to come down, you know, the administration, perhaps the principal there, to come down and co-receive a commendation for the both of you, because Cordova High has done a very good job producing very good students.
Okay, this is my last question. It says, I have met Fred Smith, Barbara Hyde of the Hyde Foundation, Bill Free, former RNC Chairman Michael Steele, Rich Priebus, all while I was a candidate. But do you think that as a county commissioner, some people have been complaining about the accessibility of the administration of Memphis City schools and some in the Shelby County schools? Do you think that we need a more accessible government and school government?
Well, now you're singing exactly my team members, because I am a very much a grassroots person, and I think that government is, in this country, government is supposed to be responsible to the taxpayers. As a public servant, what I am, I work for the taxpayers. I'm the taxpayer, they're my boss. So I think absolutely we should be as accessible to the taxpayers as we are to our bosses at our jobs. I do find that that's not always the case, especially here, and one of my goals is to open government up to the regular people here, and I'm hoping that you'll help me do that in any ways that you can with the folks in your generation.
Absolutely. And this is my last, and this is a very special question. I want to again thank you for your commitment to the children here in Memphis and Shelby County. And just recently I received a letter on behalf of Princess Madeline of Sweden, one from Queen Elizabeth II and Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands. Do you think that these documents can inspire a better generation and a better educated city and county and government? And can these documents in the future be kind of like a Magna Carta, or documents that reflect the a more educated Memphis and Shelby County? And if so, would the county government be willing to partner with me into making kind of like a children's museum regarding these documents?
Well, you know, anytime we're talking about making a museum, that requires taxpayer funds, and it's tight times for money right now. But I do think when you were giving me the names of all the people who have responded to you, that's quite a list. I mean, just from a historian's standpoint, that has to be a pretty neat list to have. I'd be very interested in seeing if there are ways that we can preserve that, perhaps in partnership with one of the museums here in town, or with one of the university maybe, to see if there's not a way to preserve this for future generations. Absolutely. And that speaks really well for you, Nicholas, that you've taken the initiative to go out and contact these people.
Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer, and this is concluding my CNN Eye Report documentary with Commissioner Heidi Schaefer of Memphis, Tennessee. Thank you. Air Force One coming in to Memphis, Tennessee. Nicholas Felice reporting. Welcome President Barack Obama to Memphis, Tennessee. Nicholas Faguse reporting CNN Eye Report in Action News 5, and this is a letter I received from President Barack Obama that Commissioner Heidi Schaefer of Memphis and Shelby County will be reading now.
Dear Nicholas, thank you for your kind note. Your thoughtful words join a chorus of millions of Americans who are eager to lead our nation towards a brighter tomorrow. Each day, I'm inspired by the encouraging messages of hope and determination I've received from people across the country. With the magnitude of challenges we face, we will only overcome them if our imagination is joined to common purpose. The future we leave to our children and grandchildren will be determined by our willingness to shoulder each other's burdens, take great risks, and move forward as one people and one nation. With your help, we will build on what we have already achieved and lay a new foundation for real and lasting progress. And it's signed, sincerely, Barack Obama, President of the United States.
Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer, and I will work hard as a Unified School Board Commissioner.
Thank you.